And this is the channel, the boat channel, that takes boats into East Harbor.
Displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the Parks Professor.
Welcome back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the Parks Professor. We are at East Harbor State Park. We are on the Marblehead Peninsula in northern Ohio. This peninsula juts eastward out into Lake Erie. There are 3 state parks on this peninsula, but East Harbor State Park is the only one with a developed trail system. I showed you the other 2 on shorts earlier this week. Today is Monday, October the 14th, and the temperature right now is a damp and chilly and breezy 50 degrees. We started at the big beach parking area. There are 3 trails that depart from that parking area, and the plan today is to hike all 3 of them. Right now we are headed down to the Channel Dunes Loop, and that's going to be the first one we're going to hike. Off to my left is the Water's Edge Trail. It goes right along the edge of Lake Erie, which is through the trees and through the dense brush right there. We'll use that trail to get back to the parking lot. And then off to my right is the Wetlands Trail, and we'll do that one last. So that is the plan for the hike today. Let's get into it. We've been coming southbound for almost a half an hour now. And I mentioned at the outset that this trail is called the Channel Dunes Loop. And a couple of times I have tried to turn right to form a loop. And both times I have hiked a short distance on a trail and then the trail just disappears, like it does right here. So that's kind of disappointing. There's no discernible trail continuing from here. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. There is a trail continuing further south, and so we will continue further south as far as we can. We're about 35 minutes in, and we made it down to the south end of the spit of land that we've been walking down. And this is the channel, the boat channel, that takes boats into East Harbor, the harbor for which this park is named. That's Lake Erie out that direction, and the harbor is off to the right. This is called East Harbor because it's on kind of the east end of the Marblehead Peninsula. You have to go east to get out of here out to Lake Erie. Really nice spot here. The main trail to get down here was really wide and really easy to follow. But the side trails that you could use to form loops on the map, they are basically non-existent once you actually get down here. So we're down to the south end of this spit of land. Next, we are going to head back northbound, back toward the parking lot. And to do that, we'll use the Water's Edge Trail, which goes along Lake Erie.
I muted the original audio on this clip due to the wind, but it's about 5 minutes later, and we are out on the Lake Erie beach. We're looking across Lake Erie to South Bass Island, and that is Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial you can see over on the island. It was a very windy day with some very choppy water. Just zoom back out to give you a greater perspective. This is a really beautiful area here. I saw a large number of birds, gulls, mallard ducks, and Canada geese here. This trail keeps going northbound along the edge of the lake and along some constructions that were built to prevent erosion. And so we will keep heading northbound along the edge of the lake.
We're working our way back up the Water's Edge Trail. This trail passes a lot of picnic tables and other viewpoints right along the lake, as the name implies. Very nice trail. This is by far my favorite trail we've hiked at this park so far. We're almost back to the parking lot where we started. So we'll get to there, rest for a few minutes, and then head out on the Wetlands Trail. All right, we are headed out of the parking lot the second time. This time we're headed to the southwest, and we're gonna go around the Wetlands Loop. I'm a little concerned about whether we can get around the Wetlands Loop based on what I saw on some of the other side trails down on the first trail we did. But there are definitely some wetlands here. There's also a boardwalk here if I read the map correctly. So we'll get started and see what we find. We went around the southern end of the wetland, and this is East Harbor. This is the harbor that we saw the entrance to down at the south end of this spit of land. You can see the waters here are much more placid than they were out on Lake Erie. This is also very close to the west end of the boardwalk. And so next we're going to take a little detour along the boardwalk. I took a little detour to walk across the boardwalk. And that's what we're doing right now. To be perfectly honest with you, I kind of wished I hadn't. There is nothing to see here on this boardwalk. It's just lined on both sides by wetland grasses and sedges. So can't see any birds, can't see any water, can't really see anything. But we didn't know that before. Now we know. So we'll keep heading up the west side of the wetland. That'll take us back to the parking lot, and that'll close the loop. The boardwalk has turned into a dirt trail, which then turned into a gravel road, which means we are almost back to the parking lot for the second and final time. This has been a really good hike. Definitely my favorite part of this hike is the bit right along Lake Erie. Just the sights and sounds out there, being able to look across the lake to South Bass Island and also Kelly's Island were absolutely fantastic. I do want to thank you for watching. Parking full time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I heartily thank you every day. Also, I want to remind you that I do not take any monetary compensation for anything I do for this project. I took a vow to do that many years ago, and I have maintained that vow. And therefore, the only thing that I get for doing any of these videos and writing any of these blog posts are your likes, your subscribes, your views, and your comments. And I do appreciate all of those things. So I can see the parking lot just ahead. So I'm going to close out this video. Until next time, from East Harbor State Park in extreme northern Ohio, I am Big Dave, the Parks Professor for Parking Full Time. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.